Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here at PauseFest, and thanks for the nice introduction. Yeah, it's great being here. So, just before I start, can I get a show of hands? Who's thinking, what is Oracle doing here at PauseFest? Thank you. I think a lot of you are very kind. But understandably, some of you may know Oracle as a database company, someone that does enterprise solutions. We tackle large, ambitious, complex projects. What are we doing at PauseFest? So, I mean, if you look at the IT industry and the software industry, it's been massively disrupted, right? So from a digital perspective, from a cloud perspective, there's massive opportunities now for Oracle, as you can see. If you've been following the Oracle Open World and the things that we're driving, it's very, very much cloud-centric these days. And what we want to do really is to reach out to not only, remain core competency around our large enterprise solutions, but also reach out to enable our technology to be consumed and to be available for startups, smaller organizations, and to be able to be part of this digital drive. All right, I'm not going to talk about Oracle, and it's actually refreshing that I'm actually not going to, my session today is actually not selling you anything today, right? Typically I do sales presentations, so today I'm actually not going to sell you anything, but really talk about our technology. Okay, so I'm here to talk about fashion. Right? And to illustrate that, I thought, hey, let's bring up two circuit agents. So you've got, Mr. Powers there that, his fashion probably in the 60s worked really well, but right now I'm not sure whether it's still applicable to today's society. But if you look at Mr. Bond, on the other hand, pretty much over time hasn't really changed, right? Except he's lost the gun, in some of the more recent media shots. So how does that relate it to what we're talking about here? So I'm not sure whether anyone remember Draw Something. Anyone still playing it? They went from 5 days after, I think it was a few days after launching, they went to 1 million users, 5 weeks to 20 million downloads, right? And where are they now? The drop was actually quite significant. WhatsApp, on the other hand, it was quite impressive. I think a couple of weeks ago, they announced that they've now reached over 1 billion active users, right? So one that's 5 years old, going strength to strength. I don't want to talk about business models on why these companies were successful, but I want to talk about some principles in technology. I think what are the key technology outcomes that can enable a more sustaining, a more manageable business in the long term. So, if you think about it, every company these days is a technology company. And if they're not a technology company, they have to be one in order to stay competitive, because a lot of us a lot of them are being disrupted as well at the moment. Keeping up with technology is challenging, right? So, if you're a developer, right, are you going to use AngularJS or are you going to use Knockout.js, right? Which framework is more powerful? Are you going to use Node.js versus a plain old web server? What is it going to cost you? Are you going to go for open source versus a commercial software, for example? There's plenty of different technology choices, and it's really hard to keep up with what's wrong. And then you come to things like security, right? If you're not designing your product around things like OAuth at the moment, it's going to be a long way to catch up later on, right? So some of these things built into the product, or the things that you're doing right now, it's better to be tackled up front rather than later. But making technology choices are hard. And what about these things? Has anyone managed to get to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas last month? Okay, I tried, but I didn't really get the approval. But just to give you some exciting things I thought that were launched there. We talked about healthcare before. Now you're going to have smart shoes, right? Smart shoes are going to track your activity and your fitness, through your shoes. I like this one, Samsung Smart Belt. Apparently, it can measure the growth of your waist and how much you've eaten for the day. That's great stuff there. And drones. So drones, this year there were 27 exhibitors of drones compared to 4 last year, right? So this space has grown immensely. And if you look at virtual reality and augmented reality, so we've already seen a lot of applications and use cases about this in our market today. So real estate, for example, allowing someone, for example, from China to view property in a more engaging and a more engaging way. So if you look at cars, I think we talked about smart cars and self-driving cars before. Insurance providers, providing tailored products for their customers, right, based on their driving behavior. So we can actually, tap into the data stream, have a look at how, profile the driver and offer them a more tailored product based on that. So, and that photo there is actually of Volvo. So there's a self-driving car from Volvo coming up, the one that's built its brand on safety. These connected things are not new, though. So I wanted to talk about one example here in San Francisco. This was like 3 years ago, where the San Francisco city, if you've been there and used this, they actually wanted to allow their citizens to have real-time information on where are the parking spots, where are the available parking spots, right, with the goal of reducing traffic, with the goal of making their citizens happier. So from a mobile device, the citizen can actually check, where the parking spots are available, less time looking for parking, and they're also going to adjust the dynamic pricing as well. So based on availability, time of day, they can actually fine-tune the meter, the pricing on the meter. The net outcome of that, right? So the net outcome was they did a study, I think, a couple of years ago where the time to find parking has reduced by around 50%, right, in the market. And then also the average meter rate has also dropped. So, I mean, we're talking about smart cities. This is a simple application of connected devices. And what I like about this example is it focused on the people, right? Making them more convenient, making them pay less, overall in the long run. Because I think golden rule number one, people at the end of the day buy from people. The worst technology outcome, I think, is when you deploy, a fancy, groundbreaking piece of technology, and at the end of the day, inconveniences, the end user. If there's a style that I would apply, my style is really to create more people-engaging, people-centric products and solutions where, at the end of the day, that's what matters. Okay, I'm going to talk about what are the technology outcomes, that I'm here to talk about. But to illustrate that, I wanted to, show you a simple demo. And to do that, I'd like to request for some help. So my colleague, Steve, if I may introduce you.
Hello. So
Steve, let's meet Steve. Well, actually, can I flick back to my screen first? We're not ready for that demo yet. Thanks. So Steve is a highly paid IT executive. Seriously. He's married with 2 kids. I mean, a dual income. He loves fine wine and gadgets, and we want more customers like Steve. Is that right, Steve?
I'm not highly paid.
Well, yeah, we can probably fix that later.
I do like wine, though.
But who are we? So we are Oracle Gadgets. If you've been to the booth, you might think Oracle's in a different type of business these days. We love our technology, but we don't sell wine. We have retail shops and we have online stores. We operate in a niche and competitive market. People just buy online these days, right? It's pretty challenging. But Steve is a platinum customer, so we want to look after him. So Steve, what are you going to show us?
So, yeah, we can flip to the other screen. Thanks, guys. So, what I'm going to show you real quick, I'm going to do a little role play. Clarence and I can do a little role play. So here's a really simple mobile app. It's not a special app. We're not here to demonstrate technology to you. It's a pretty simple mobile application been developed by our role play company here, Oracle Gadgets. As you heard, I like gadgets, and so I've deployed their app on my phone. It gives me a pretty simple profile of who I am here at the top, so it tells me that they understand who I am, so I like that. It gives me interesting information about what's trending, what's happening in the world of gadgets at the moment. I can browse a few different products.
So you can be at home and look at and keep up to date with what people are talking about, what's trending.
Right. So I usually find these guys post stuff that's reasonably interesting. So every now and then I look at it.
Cool.
And so if I'm looking through here now, I can see a number of different things. One thing here is a parrot spider droid, drone, I should say. That's kind of interesting. Next one down is this Anki Overdrive, this car racing thing. And I'm into cars, even though Clarence didn't say that. I like cars, I like racing. And I've been reading a bit.
That's something we didn't know that we'd like to know about.
Right. So, well, if I'm going to like, I do like cars, so I'll like this. I'll put a like on that thing. Now, I'm going to step out of role play for a second. Work with me. Fast forward 2 weeks. I'm walking down the street, and I'm now walking past an Oracle Gadgets store. And obviously, I can't walk past a store in here, but I'm going to get a store to walk past me. So this app here is kind of beacon-enabled or geo
So
aware.
you were at home before, looking through things, checking things out, and you've just liked something, and now you're 2 weeks later, you're walking past the store.
Right. So we've got another helper here in the crowd. Stuart's walking down. Stuart happens to have a beacon, a Bluetooth beacon in his pocket. That's not interesting in its own right, but we're simulating the fact that I'm walking past, say, a store. And if this demo goes well, which demos sometimes don't. Okay, so it has just popped up. The phone is sensed that I'm now in this Oracle Gadget store. It's said to me, hey, welcome back to the shop. Would you like to check in and notify your host? So I say, sure. And now that takes me to a new page, which I'll explain in a second. But the point here is, it's sensed that I'm in the store. It has some information about me, and I have agreed to let, in this case, Oracle Gadgets engage me directly. So I've said, yeah, I'm happy to have someone come and engage me. So it's thrown me to a page. Since I said yes, it's thrown me to a page. Again, had my profile on it, but more importantly, it's thrown up this ad that says, hey, since you were here last, or since we engaged you last, the Yankee Overdrive slot car that you liked a few weeks back has since become in stock. In fact, we're demoing it today. You can come and have a race. You can come and have a test drive. So I could go ahead and click, book test drive. So that's a pretty simple mobile app that demonstrates the use of some relatively new technology. You want to talk a bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, we'd love to have brought the racetrack here to demo it, but unfortunately, logistically, it was going to be challenging. So invite anyone who wants to actually look at the racetrack to come visit us at the booth. So thank you, Steve. So you were at home, looking through this, looking at catching up with what's new in technology. You like something. Now you went to the store and you're being served by notifying the host that you're there, announce your presence, and now you've been presented with something a bit interesting for you.
And so I guess the main point is that I get the feeling that these guys understand who I am and want to engage me.
Okay.
It's inviting for me, asking me if I want to be engaged, not assuming, but asking if I want to be engaged. I could always say no, but in this case, I want to be engaged.
Thank you. Okay, so can I go back to the slides, please? So I think that was quite a simple example. Nothing groundbreaking that we demoed there. Simple mobile app, a bit of beacon geolocation, a bit of engagement. But I wanted to talk about why there's actually a lot more to it that we can extend, right? So first thing, I think any successful product or service that we want to roll out and to make it sustainable, it needs to be intelligent, right? If we looked at it, that very simple example, he clicked something that he liked, and later on he was presented with a tailored offering in the shop. That was, simple, but in reality, that like or that opinion or that feedback comes from multiple different channels and sources. How do I very efficiently, cleverly collate all this information from all these different channels and work out how do I know the customer? I mean, if you look at digital marketing, it's all about knowing the customer, mapping the customer's journey, and where we can engage better in each step. If you come over to the Oracle booth, we have one of the displays is showing the sentiment analysis. For example, for PauseFest, we're actually trolling through the different social channels and presenting a consolidated view of what we feel is happening for PauseFest. So you can come and check it out. But what if we can take it a step further, right? What if I can intelligently predict what gadgets are going to be popular, what I should invest more, right? That's where things like big data comes in play, right? So a very simple app, a very simple application now can be powered up by quite a lot of intelligence behind it. So I think intelligent is the first thing that I think is critical. Second thing is immediate, right? If I look at it, Steve, for example, before the store came to him, but we immediately engaged him in a way that presented him with an opportunity to then engage with us. So capturing that opportunity, that immediacy is really, really important. I mean, back in the web days, we talk about the 6-second rule, right? If your site is rendering in more than 6 seconds, chances are people are going to go away. Right now, someone is challenging me that. They said it's dropped down to less than 3. I don't know, you might have an opinion on that. But that immediate response is really, really important. But extend that, not just from a performance and usability perspective, extend that to now thinking about, well, what if I wanted to ask a question and I want a faster response to that. Big data, right, is where it comes in. So getting a faster answer from a new question, right, or ask a bigger question. So the immediate response and reaction to some of the events are critical. Take another example, NAB. NAB recently announced that by the end of the year, they're going to have all their personal banking products on a new origination platform, and some of the things that they're planning to achieve is amazing, right? So, for example, if you're applying for a loan and it got approved, they're talking about putting money in the account on the same day versus something like 12 days that it typically takes, right? So reducing that to 1 day in the same day itself. They're talking about opening online accounts in literally 2 minutes, right? So the immediacy, the attention that you provide with the end user is critical. And of course, everything needs to be integrated, right? Sure, technology, architecturally, lay down patterns that makes it easy to integrate, REST APIs and have an open approach to what you build. But when it comes to integration, I think extend that concept further. Firstly, that integrated experience, whether you're at home, away from, whether you're at home, going through the mobile or web channel versus coming in-store from a physical presence perspective, you want to have that integrated experience all tied through. And in the back-end system, obviously that needs to also support that. But extend it a bit further as well. I think these days we're seeing a lot more business partnerships being formed, a lot of more connected businesses where traditional companies who traditionally never worked together are forming more and more of these type of partnerships. So being able to easily and quickly integrate what you're building or the service that you're offering, I think is going to be critical as well. Lastly, and this is my favorite one, digital identity. Okay, something that typically gets left to the last minute. So I'm going to build a service, a product, and I'm going to design my user registration process, and I'm going to build security around it, and I'm going to build the authorization model. It's going to be all me. But let's think about it. Who here likes to register for an account and sign up again and providing the same information, right? I have a bold prediction. Okay, before I do that, I think to tackle is not easy, but when you get to tackle this properly, you get to look after your customers a lot better. Your business partners, customers can also be more engaged with you. You can actually reach into that, tap into that as well. My bold prediction is at the end of the day, every person is going to have 4 identities, right? One that they work with from the employer, one from the government, social, obviously, Facebook or Google, take a pick, and it's going to be a commercial identity as well. So there's going to be identity providers stepping up to be the provider of choice so that they can use that identity to represent them from a commercial standpoint. That's that line between that bit more secure compared to your social ID. But my point is, if you're not tapping into this, if you're not hooking into this, you're missing out on a very, very big community out there. So just to wrap it up again, the 4 I's, I call it, the 4 I's that I think are fundamental technology outcomes that we need to look at. So if a person-centric or people-centric services and solutions is my style, I think these 4 I's don't go out of fashion, right? I think focusing on achieving these outcomes, whatever you build in your technology journey, becomes, I think, well aligned. And you may choose which one is more important for you right now. And by the way, you might be surprised, Oracle can help you in this, in these 4 I's, right? We have a solution for everything here. We've got a cloud platform that makes it more available for everyone. And the 5th I, should you choose to accept it, is the Internet of Things. Well, what does this actually mean to you? I mean, I haven't even reached into this topic, and it's a very, very broad topic. I think someone talked about meetups, that large vendors and organizations should be involved in more meetups. I'm happy to say that I'm actually attending a meetup this evening around IoT security. Big and huge topic. If you're interested, we can have a chat and maybe come on over to the meetup as well. That's really it for me. So the 4 I's, with IoT, I think something that is of great importance coming up. I'd like to invite you to, come over and have a chat with us, have a play if you haven't already. We've got, racing cars set up. If you want to see a car crash and launching a drone, if you want to, beat the records that we have on the track at the moment, we are also giving away a couple of prizes, an Apple Watch and it's actually a BB-8 droid. That's, a lesson learned not to do your slides when you're half asleep. So, so that's it for me. Thank you.